British rock group called The Clash. You might not want to invite them to dinner, but they sure have a way with a song.
Yeah, one that went wrong.
Paul Gustav Simonon was born on December 15, 1955, in Thornton Heath, Croydon, Surrey. His father, Gustav, was an amateur artist, and his mother, Elaine, worked as a librarian. His paternal grandfather was a Belgian refugee who came to England during World War I. Paul grew up in both Brixton and Ladbroke Grove in London. Both neighborhoods were known for their multicultural communities, which may have fostered his open-mindedness and appreciation for diverse cultures. Growing up surrounded by paints and canvases in his father's studio undoubtedly sparked a passion for visual arts in young Paul. This artistic influence would remain a constant throughout his life. Paul's talent for art was recognized early on. He secured a scholarship to attend the prestigious Byam Shaw School of Art, now part of Central St. Martin's College. Here, he honed his artistic skills and developed his creative vision. Paul Simonon's childhood was shaped by artistic influences, with his father playing a key role in nurturing his artistic passion. Growing up in culturally diverse areas of London likely exposed him to a variety of music and cultural expressions. The music scene of the 1960s in London would have influenced him. The clash between mods and rockers, and the rise of British rock bands like The Who and the Rolling Stones, would have been part of the cultural landscape during his formative years. He is best known as the co-founder and bassist of the influential British punk rock band The Clash. Simonon immersed himself in London's vibrant music scene. Punk rock, reggae, and other genres shaped his musical sensibilities. Paul bumped into Mick Jones at the Byam Shaw School of Art in Kensington. Jones, recognizing Simonon's potential, asked him if he wanted to form a band. From art school acquaintances to punk rock pioneers, their meeting set the stage for an unforgettable musical journey. In June 1976, Paul Simonon and Mick Jones approached Joe Strummer, who was already part of a band called the 101 Ayers. They invited Strummer to join their new group, and thus, The Clash was born. Initially, Simonon didn't know how to play the bass. Mick Jones decided to teach him bass instead of guitar, and Simonon learned his parts by rote. Simonon had borrowed a bass, and Jones removed the strings. He then painted the notes on the fretboard with pink nail varnish. During rehearsals, Jones and Joe Strummer would shout out the notes of chord changes to guide the young bass player. Despite this, he became an integral part of The Clash's sound. Simonon's basslines and Jones' guitar work became the backbone of the band's music. So, Jones's guidance and Simonon's determination shaped the band's iconic basslines. Simonon's passion for visual arts and rebellion influenced his iconic stage presence. The famous image of him smashing his bass guitar during a concert became a symbol of punk defiance. The Clash's rise to fame was rapid. Their energetic live performances and songs like London Calling and Should I Stay or Should I Go resonated with a generation disillusioned by social and economic inequalities.
Okay, and action.
Right, well, you know.
Come on.
One, take one. The Clash.
The Clash don't sing soppy songs about teenage love or about pickups at the local disco. They tell of white riots. They warn of Armageddon time. They shout about the cost of living. They say they owe no allegiance to either the right or the left. And despite an almost contemptuous disregard for exposure on TV and radio, they're one of the most successful groups in Britain today.
The band's relentless touring schedule took a toll on Simonon. He faced the pressures of fame, constant travel, and the internal conflicts within the band. However, music remained his passion. Despite the musical intensity, Simonon never abandoned his artistic roots. He continued to paint and draw, even during tours. His artwork often reflected the themes tackled by the Clash: social justice, political unrest, and the struggles of working-class communities. His basslines, stage presence, and visual identity became synonymous with the Clash's sound and image. By the mid-1980s, creative differences and internal tensions within the Clash led to the band's disbandment. For Simonon, this marked a turning point. The Clash's end wasn't a single dramatic moment, but a slow disintegration over several years. Around 1982, cracks started to show. Drummer Topper Headon's drug addiction caused reliability issues, leading to his departure. Creative differences arose as the band experimented with genres beyond punk, with frontman Joe Strummer clashing with Mick Jones' more pop-oriented direction. A major turning point came in 1983 when Joe Strummer and Paul Simonon decided to kick out guitarist Mick Jones. This removed a core creative force and signaled a significant shift in the band's dynamic. The Clash continued with new members, but Strummer himself later admitted they never played a good gig after Jones left. They soldiered on through tours with diminishing enthusiasm. Exhausted and creatively spent, the Clash finally disbanded in 1986. Strummer attributed it to fatigue after a period of intense activity. Paul was married to Trisha Ronayne for 18 years, a former model and the Clash's manager for a significant period. They had 2 children together. Unfortunately, the couple separated in 2006 and divorced in 2008. Their divorce involved a complex financial settlement due to Paul's share of royalties from the Clash. They eventually agreed to split the royalties equally through a jointly owned company. There were later legal disputes regarding the wording of the agreement. After the Clash disbanded in 1986, Simonon formed Havana 3 AM, a band that blended rock, punk, and reggae influences. Their self-titled album, released in 1991, showcased Simonon's bass skills and distinctive style. While not as commercially successful as The Clash, Havana 3 AM allowed Simonon to explore new musical directions. The band consisted of Paul Simonon, previously of The Clash, on bass; Nigel Dixon, from the British band Whirlwind, on lead vocals and rhythm guitar; Gary Myrick on lead guitar and backing vocals; Travis Williams, a drummer they found through a newspaper announcement. Their name was inspired by the 1956 album by Perez Prado.
When the Clash broke up, when did the Clash break up? When the hell did that happen? Why wasn't I alerted? They broke up? Really?
What happened?
You know, when the Clash broke up, one of their members went on to form this next band, and this is their debut album right here.
That's right. Yeah, the first and the second group I've ever been in.
What were you doing before you formed Havana 3 AM and after you left the Clash?
Well, I actually chucked the bass guitar in the basement and took up the paintbrush again. So I was sort of lucky I had an alternative career, you know. So I had a broader outlook than just being a musician or something, you know.
And Nigel, were you listening to the Clash much? Are they a big influence for you?
He didn't have much choice. He was playing with us a lot of the time.
Yeah, I met Paul doing supports for the Clash in like 77, 78, so I knew them from then. But, you know, I did enjoy the band and everything, yeah.
What do you think when people say, well, I can hear a lot of the Clash in Havana 3 AM's music? Does that, like, irritate you, or do you think it's legitimate?
Not really. I suppose the comparison is like, well, I was the bass player in the Clash, and I'm the bass player in this group, so that's probably where it is, and I just had some lump full of my feet.
Hello, I'm Paul Simonon from Havana 3 AM. Well, it changed. One day I hated Mick's guts and he hated mine, and Joe would be in the middle. And then maybe another time, you know, Mick would hate Joe's guts, and we all shared it around, you know. Joe came down to a couple of our gigs, and through that they invited us to do some opening shows for the Clash, and I obviously met Paul then. When you're working with people, you know, you have to sort of fight for what you want a certain thing to be, you know. But I don't know, I don't find it a problem. I find it quite easy, really. I mean, first of all, it's like me and Nigel have a good rapport with us insofar as if he comes up with an idea and I think it's rubbish, I'll tell him. And same vice versa, you know, if I come up with an idea, you know, he tells me, you know, so, but, you know, we're sort of adult about it and sensible, so we can get through that and come on to something good, you know. The thing is like, I mean, whether his records were released in England or whatever, we never heard of them, you know, over there. So when we met Gary, it was after that, because we went down to see him at...
They came to the show and seemed to like my songwriting a lot and my guitar playing, and asked me if I would write some songs with them. And I didn't really know if they were songwriters and if I would really want to do it or not, so I said, let's give it a week. We tried it for a week, and I already liked them as people. We really weren't interested in music when we first met. We were talking about other things, painting and motorcycles and this and that, and music was the last thing in our mind.
Sort of like a musical travel log. You know, it's like, the name of Havana 3 AM, we actually stole it. We stole it from an old record by a guy called Perez Prado, and I'd been collecting his records for quite a few years, and I had a compilation of Latin music that I compiled onto a cassette. I've been obeyed, gotta save my soul.
Havana 3 AM has already combined reggae, rockabilly, Spanish horns, and a whole lot of shaking in their music. From here on out, anything is possible.
In 2010, Simonon resurfaced on stage and on record with Damon Albarn's projects. He played bass for Gorillaz alongside Mick Jones and Albarn's ensemble The Good, the Bad and the Queen, which continues to tour and record. The band consisted of Damon Albarn, Blur and Gorillaz on vocals and keys, Paul Simonon on bass, Simon Tong from The Verve on guitar, Tony Allen, the legendary drummer from Fela Kuti's live band. Their collaboration resulted in a unique blend of talents and influences. they released their self-titled debut album, The Good, the Bad and the Queen, in 2007. The album explored themes of British identity, urban life, and political commentary. While they only released one album, their impact resonates with fans who appreciate their thought-provoking music.
If you're leaving, please still say goodbye. And if you are leaving, can you leave me my silver Jubilee mug?
It's a supergroup led by Damon Albarn, the frontman of Blur and the man behind Gorillaz, and it features his friends, the bassist from The Clash, Fela Kuti's drummer, and the Verve's guitarist.
Well, I mean, it came about because we said to the person that books all the shows and stuff, we said, we want to do some shows on the East Coast of England.
I mean, I've done tours like this before. In like 1996, I did a tour of peers around the whole of the UK. But this record's kind of more a meditation on Englishness. And I suppose it's been a series of kind of pilgrimages, if you like, to places I've never been before. Just to sort of try and understand what we're about and have more empathy for the bigger picture.
I've done enough today.
Simonon reunited with the Clash guitarist Mick Jones on the Gorillaz album Plastic Beach. He even became their live touring bassist for a while. After the divorce, he shifted his focus more towards visual arts, potentially holding exhibitions or pursuing personal projects.
The room I used to sleep in was where my dad used to paint, and all on the walls were sort of pictures that he'd taken out of art books that he'd nicked from the library, and he'd stick them all up on the wall. So every time I go to sleep or woke up, I was surrounded by art, be it Utrillo, Constable, Flamenc, you know. So I was sort of surrounded by it. And also, I sort of, as I got older, I realised that there were a lot of artists called Paul. So that in some ways it sort of seemed to reiterate the fact that that's obviously got to be my job when I grow up. One thing that was quite interesting, when I was doing these paintings, I did a whole series of paintings of like bacon and eggs in the frying pan, sort of mugs of tea. And it was interesting, somebody said, oh, that Paul, that's just your paintings, it's just you trying to reassert your working classness. And I thought, I never really thought of it like that, but maybe it is. I don't know, I guess I just paint and what comes out comes out, or what my interests are. Yeah, I think I've been really fortunate only because I found painting, and really what I'm saying is that I found an outlet. With all the inner turmoil and angst that every human being has inside, if you can find something to channel it out, that's like whether it's writing a book or writing a poem, making a film, or in my case making a painting, that's a fortunate thing to have.
In 2017, Paul Simonon met Galen Ayers through mutual connections in the music industry. Their collaboration was born out of a shared admiration for each other's work and a mutual desire to create something unique. The collaboration between Simonon and Ayers was driven by a creative chemistry and a desire to blend their unique musical perspectives. This synergy is evident in their joint project, which reflects a harmonious blend of their individual talents. The outcome of their collaboration, the album Can We Do Tomorrow Another Day, in 2023, showcases the result of their meeting and joint efforts. The album features a blend of melodic tunes, introspective lyrics, and a mix of rock, folk, and pop elements, demonstrating the successful fusion of their artistic styles.